Please don't leave me, Eric. Where will I go? I left everything for you, even my job and my career. Please don't do this to me, please. I pleaded as Eric packed my bag and threw me out of his home. Although since our marriage, I considered it our home that day, I realized it was never my home. It was always his home, and I lost it because he thought I was infertile. I can't give him the family he has always dreamt of. But what Eric doesn't know is that nothing is more mischievous than fate. If it turns against me today, there will be a time when Eric will regret this day and moment while I watch his despair. And he said he would love to meet you, so I invited him too. Luke completed his sentence with loads of enthusiasm. I looked at him shocked. How can he do this? How can he invite someone over to our place without even asking me? I angrily asked Luke the same thing, to which he innocently replied, "Why isn't this my home? Can't I invite someone?" "Luke, you know that's not what I meant," I said while arranging the laundry. Luke came and hugged me from behind and said, "Please, Mom, he seems to be a nice guy. You know, this is a new city for me, and when I met Eddie's father today, I felt so close to him. When Eddie invited me to his home today, I was reluctant, but Eddie forced me and I couldn't say no to him, and I'm glad that I didn't," Luke said with unknown affection in his voice. The truth is, for some reason I feared. We changed the city only a week ago because of my new job. I didn't know how Luke would catch up here. After all, he is quiet and can't make friends quickly. But soon he had found Eddie in his class. If Luke is the North Pole, Eddie is the South Pole. Luke is quiet, whereas Eddie is super talkative, yet they gel well. Good news, and I am elated. But the problem is, recently Luke visited Eddie's home where he met his father. I don't know who he is or whether he is a nice man. However, Luke seems to be on cloud 9, but I fear he will break Luke's heart. Why? I don't know. But Luke continued, "Eddie said, even though his father is mid-40, he looks loads younger. I agree. He is pretty handsome too. You will see yourself. He will come tomorrow." "Okay, fine. I will see that tomorrow. Now you go and finish your assignment." "I think that's pending," I said while settling down with my evening coffee. Luke bit his tongue, realizing his mistake, and ran from there. I smiled and shook my head, looking at his innocence. He is still a baby, I thought inside. Innocence is good, but at times can be dangerous. I hope Eddie's father is indeed a nice person. I don't want anything that will break Luke's heart. It has broken a few times. Now I don't want my boy to suffer more. The next day was hectic. Luke fussed the entire day, making me go all crazy time and again. Finally, it was 7 and the time for Eddie and his father's arrival came. Luke checked his watch every second. "Cool down, Luke. Constantly watching the time won't speed up their arrival," I said agitatedly. Luke sighed and sat down on the couch, disheartened. I smiled and sat beside him, caressing his hair. Luke put his head on my shoulder and said, "Am I fussing a lot, Mom?" "A bit, but that's okay," I said while caressing Luke. Luke became excited and looked at me. "Oh yeah?" I nodded. He hugged me and said, "You are the best, Mom." Suddenly the doorbell rang and Luke almost ran to open the door. I sighed and turned to welcome Eddie and his father. There they stand. "No, no, 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 no!" I cried inside as the world beneath me shook like hell. What's this? What is he doing here? How on earth is it here? Is he Eddie's father? Scenes that occurred 15 years ago returned in a flash. I ran out of breath as Eddie's father, Eric, entered our home sweet home. Eric looked at me like he had seen a ghost after 15 years. He couldn't believe his eyes as he watched me standing beside Luke. "Isabella?" Eric uttered after a long time. Luke and Eddie looked confused. Luke asked, "You know my mother?" Before Eric could answer, I hurriedly said, "Yup, we were in college together." "Wow, really?" Eddie and Luke said almost in unison. I smiled feebly and said, "Why don't you guys inaugurate Luke's new PS5 while we catch up a bit? After all, it has been 15 years since we last met." "New PS5? You didn't tell me about that, Luke?" Eddie asked excitedly. Luke smiled and said, Mom bought it yesterday only, so I thought I'd surprise you today. Excellent. Why don't we play then while these two go back to their college days? Eddie said excitedly. Luke looked at me while I gestured for him to go and play with Eddie. Luke is an intelligent boy. He sensed something, and even though he was reluctant, he didn't argue and went inside with Eddie, leaving Eric with me. So, Luke is your boy? Eric asked after a long pause. I nodded and said yes. Eric looked bewildered. He said, You adopted? I nodded and said, No, after you left me, I married Scott. Luke is mine and Scott's son. Scott? Eric looked at me in disbelief. I know he doesn't believe me. Frankly, I am not answerable to him, but I felt he must have an answer that will break his ego forever. I never thought about this in all these 15 years, but now the question in his eyes insulted me like never before. I went to our family photograph, which was on the corner of this room on a side table. Eric didn't see it. I picked it up and caressed it. I sighed and showed the picture to Eric. Scott was real, more real than Eric's narrow mind. Eric was amazed to see the picture. He couldn't speak for a long time. Then he slowly uttered, But you were infertile. I smiled and looked at Eric, then slowly said, No, Eric, it wasn't me. It was never me. It was you. You were infertile. Liar, Eric almost roared. I have Eddie. Lily gave me Eddie. You can't. And now you are cooking a story in front of me. I am not cooking any story. Indeed, Eddie is Lily's son. You cheated on me because you thought Lily was carrying your baby. But are you bringing up your son or someone else's? I said calmly. Shut up. Eric was almost on the verge of hitting me, but somehow controlled himself. I smiled, seeing his condition. This humiliation was worse than the one he inflicted on me 15 years ago. I felt so nice. You think this is funny? Shouted Eric. Lower your voice, Eric. You don't want your boy to know the truth, or you do? Eric remained silent. I said, I heard Lily left you for another man. She may not be of much help, but a DNA test may. If you don't believe me, go for it. You will know the truth. Eric looked as if I had slapped him hard enough. I never wanted revenge, but when fate allowed me one, I didn't say no. After all, nothing is more mischievous than fate. You don't know when it will turn against you. Why did you tell Eddie's father that Uncle Scott is my dad? Luke asked, almost out of the blue. After dinner, Luke was helping me with the dishes when he suddenly asked this question. My hands trembled. I looked at him and he looked at me. There was a pause for a moment. Then Luke said, I had left my phone in the room. I came out to fetch it when I heard you. Hearing Luke, I couldn't say anything for some time, then sighed and said, Fate put revenge on a platter for me. I just served it. Luke hugged me from behind and said, Tell me more, Mom? I sighed. The day Eric threw me out of Ioannis house because he thought Lily was carrying his child, that day I wanted to surprise Eric with the happiest news of his life. That day I wanted to tell him I am pregnant with you, but instead he gave me the biggest shock of my life, I said as I remembered everything that occurred 15 years ago. Luke remained silent and said, Eddie's father is good, but my mother is the best. I am your son and only yours. These words of Luke were enough for me. I hugged him as tears rolled down my cheeks. I kissed him on the forehead and said, Thank you, Luke. Thank you so much. Luke hugged me tighter and said, I love you, Mom. I love you too, my son.